Hey everybody, welcome back once again. It's your boy NK9. First, let me address, might be some road noise, windows open. It is a beautiful day. The sun is chirping, the birds are shining, and I want to get in on some of that. Secondly, movie banner toys are because I have been separated from this stuff physically for about a decade before we moved into our house. I didn't even have a chance to look at it, so I pulled all the stuff out so I can look at it, play with it, and it makes me happy. So blame Peter Pan syndrome if you'd like, but it makes me stoked, and I've been enjoying myself, especially spinning records again. I have a Twitch channel that I'll put up a little here because I can't remember exactly what it's called because honestly I don't stream very often on it. But anyway, moving on. My last video, I didn't want to be smug or shitty. Oh, sorry, one more point. This is not just a just say no. This is just say no to sports. I like stupid t-shirts. Goes back to being a big middle-aged child. So, talk about grown stuff right now. My last video, again, didn't mean to be, smug or about anything, but I did provide warnings. Those warnings were ignored. I was right, and I'm not going to deny it. But here's why I think people don't listen to me. And that's because, and I'm not immune to being emotional. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. But when I'm making a logical argument to somebody and all I get are emotional retorts and naysaying, that tells me that people's logical parts of their brain are not being engaged. And it might be neuro-linguistic programming. I don't know. It might just be that they are triggered Pavlovian-like responses to certain words and phrases. I'm honestly not certain, but that is something that I've been trying to kind of investigate because I get a lot of projection from people when I suggest that forcing other people to do what you think is right is selfish rather than just going your own way, protecting you and yours, and leaving other people to their own lives and their pursuits. I personally don't think that's selfish, but I get accused of being selfish a lot. And anybody that knows how I spend my time, and how, especially over the last 3 years, and for whom I have been living my life, would know that that is absolutely not true. I'm not here to virtue signal because this is the internet and I'm not interested in it. But people that know me know, and people that don't can make all the assumptions they want. I frankly am pretty immune to that at this point. All right, I've been called conservative by liberals, liberal by conservative, Republican by Democrats, Democrats by Republicans, a socialist, a communist, a fascist, a traitor, a bootlicker, immigrant hater, racist, xenophobe, misogynist. Pretty much every pejorative it's possible to call another person at one point or another I have been, because as I am an anti-statist, I oppose all coercion. So depending on who is trying to bully who, I'm going to disagree with one side or the other, just depending. Oftentimes I disagree with both sides because there is no winner when your choice is evil or evil. I don't see it by degrees. I choose not to choose evil. And so I don't support politics. So that causes a problem too. I see the left-right spectrum as being nonsense, and I see rather there being a point at one side of, freedom, and then branches of every different type of coercion and authoritarianism that you can imagine, until over on the right side over here, you just have totalitarianism, regardless of its flavor or its origin. Moving forward, the programming. When I was analyzing things in real time on September 11th, while being absolutely horrified at every single thing that I was seeing on the TV, every single thing that I was hearing, I couldn't help but think about what asshole sociopath motherfuckers in charge do when bad things happen. And that is what informed my thinking. Not being an expert on geopolitics or the military or terrorism, anything like that. It's just being a creep and motherfucker profiler, which I consider myself. I've been studying power dynamics and political systems literally for decades. And, the fact that I don't have any credentials because I didn't do that in a classroom doesn't really fucking matter much to me when I'm right. So, take that how you will. But looking at things through that lens has informed how I see the world and is the reason that I am an anarchist and not in a, comical bomb-throwing, twirling the mustachios kind of way, but really being rather one that objects to being ruled by psychopaths. And we are, and we have been. And whether it's by incident or design, we're led by them. And I think that is just the nature of power, and that the most sociopathic people in a society are going to be drawn to positions of political and bureaucratic power, especially to large institutions where they don't necessarily have a lot of accountability, but they can wield a great deal of influence and have a lifelong career. Fauci was really, really wrong about some things during the early days of the AIDS epidemic. And, obviously he gets the science changed excuse and get out of jail free card. But a lot of people died without even the benefit of human touch because he said it could be transmissible through human contact, just casual human contact. And I think that's fucking horrible. And when he was wrong about that, I think he should have resigned way, way, way back then. I think that was 1983. But again, people like that get excused, and it doesn't matter how much they're wrong or by how much. If they get cover from people saying, well, they get to change their mind because the science changed. Well, my interpretation of that is that they spoke too quickly. If you have to wait for the science to catch up to your statements to know if they're true or not, then things are happening in the wrong order. And that happens all the time now. Something happens, a supposed expert comes through either with some studies or with a computer model, what have you, and they make a bold statement that gets a bunch of headlines, and we're off to the races. And policy gets made, people take that as gospel, and when it's proven to be incorrect or just, wrong by degrees, then if they're still in good odor with society, then they get the science changed card, and, they get to go on and continue to be wrong. But I think that after a certain amount of time, those people need to go. And this goes to all of them. Apocalyptic predictions that were then wrong. So either, admit that human action exists and people have agency, and that, there might be factors that they don't know even exist or understand incompletely or not at all, or shut up and let things play out, because you can't rush science. especially on a global population. And what we have, by the nature of power, by the nature of coercion, by the nature of the subsidies and special interests and corporations that have regulations written for them, or they write them themselves and then they just hand it to Congress and they get passed. What we get is a less free society, and we get less choices, we get less quality, and we get less accountability. And if we were advising people instead of having the coercive nature of government behind us to force our conclusions on people, then they would have to make an actual argument, and we would actually be seeing data instead of interpretations of data or extrapolations from studies or computer models. We would see better science, because people would have to present their argument. They wouldn't be able to present their argument to just a small little cabal of people who probably agree with them and are happy to write regulations or to write laws that then allow regulations to be written that enforce their conclusion. I would say that the ability to shut down an opposing viewpoint as being misinformation is an incredibly bad idea. We are learning a lot more about biology and our metabolism, and it turns out that somebody who was derided for being a crackpot and saying that added sugar was to blame for a lot of chronic illnesses was shouted down by established science decades ago. And it's only now that this information is being kind of uncovered and this research is being pushed forward. But that's my point. That was suppressed for decades because established science said that it was quackery. And now we're finding out that it's not. So don't be so quick to shout science at somebody who disagrees with you, because time may tell that you are really, really wrong. That's why I want a free market in our science. I want to know as many perspectives as possible so that I can judge who is and isn't completely full of it. Because I'm an adult, I have cognitive faculties, and I use them. And I encourage all of you to as well. Until next time, friends.